Most people think power comes from talking louder, arguing harder, proving smarter. That's wrong. Real power walks into a room, says nothing, and still controls everything. Today you'll learn how to outsmart anyone without a single sentence, without confrontation, without giving away your position. If this mindset already feels different, stay with me, because the next part shows how to turn this quiet control into real-world advantage in conversations, negotiations, and everyday life. Power of silence in psychological influence means understanding that the absence of words often carries more weight than any statement you could make. Because silence creates space, and space forces the other person to reveal themselves. When you stop filling every pause with explanations or reactions, you immediately shift the balance of control. The human brain is uncomfortable with uncertainty, so when you stay quiet, people rush to fill the gap. They talk more than they planned. They explain more than they should. They defend themselves even when no one accused them. And in that process, they give away their emotions, intentions, and insecurities without realizing it. Silence works like a psychological spotlight that turns inward on the other person, while you remain in the shadows, observing calmly. This is why, in negotiations, the one who speaks first after an offer often loses leverage. And in arguments, the one who stays composed while the other gets emotional usually walks away with the upper hand. Silence also signals confidence because desperate people feel the need to convince while confident people feel no urgency to prove anything. When you respond slowly instead of instantly, your words gain more impact and your presence feels heavier. People start reading into your pauses, and that alone increases your perceived authority. Even in daily conversations, silence allows you to guide interactions without force. When someone seeks validation and you don't immediately give it, they begin working harder to earn it. When someone tries to provoke you and you remain quiet, their power disappears because conflict needs reaction to survive. Silence is not about being passive, it is about being strategic. It is choosing observation over impulse and control over noise. The strongest communicators are often the ones who speak the least but choose their moments perfectly, because they understand that influence does not come from dominating every second of a conversation, but from mastering when to step back and let psychology do the work for them. In that space between words, real power quietly takes shape and begins to guide every interaction without ever needing to announce itself. Reading micro-expressions and body language is about learning to listen to what people reveal before they even realize they are speaking, because the face and the body react faster than the mind can control, and in those tiny moments the truth slips out. A quick tightening of the jaw, a half-second eye roll, a shallow breath, a sudden shift in posture. These are not random movements. They are emotional leaks that show what a person really feels even when their words try to hide it. When you train yourself to notice these details, you stop relying only on what people say and start understanding what they mean. Most people focus on big gestures, but power is in the small ones. The flash of fear when a topic comes up, the micro smile when they feel superior, the tension in the shoulders when they feel threatened. These signals tell you when to push, when to pause, and when to stay silent. Body language also shows who is in control. People who feel confident take up space, move slowly, and breathe deeply, while those who feel uncertain shrink, fidget, and rush their movements. When you read this in real time, you can adjust your behavior to stay one step ahead. If someone crosses their arms and leans back, you know they are closing off, so you stop persuading and start observing. If someone leans forward and mirrors your posture, you know they are engaged, so you slow down and let them lean in further. The real advantage comes when you don't react to these signals emotionally, but strategically. Instead of calling someone out, you let their body language guide your timing, your silence, and your next move. People feel understood when you respond to what they show instead of what they say, and that creates influence without force. The more you practice this skill, the less you need to argue or explain, because you start operating on a deeper level of communication that most people never even notice. a level where control is quiet and awareness becomes your strongest advantage. Using stillness to create authority means understanding that the person who moves the least often controls the most, because stillness sends a silent message of confidence and certainty that no words can replace. When you stay physically calm while others shift, fidget, or rush, you instantly stand out as grounded and composed, and the human brain naturally assigns leadership to the one who seems least affected by pressure. Stillness works because movement usually comes from emotion, nervousness, excitement, fear, or the need to impress. So when you remove unnecessary motion, you remove visible emotion. And when emotion disappears, authority appears. People start to project strength onto you simply because you don't look like you need anything from the moment. Even small habits matter. Slow breathing keeps your body relaxed. Relaxed posture keeps your voice steady even when you do speak, and steady presence makes others feel watched rather than challenged. Stillness also creates psychological contrast. In a room full of noise and motion, the quiet center becomes the focal point, not by demanding attention, but by attracting it. This is why experienced leaders often speak less and move less. They let the environment revolve around them instead of chasing it. When someone tries to dominate you with energy or aggression and you remain still, their intensity begins to look excessive while your calm begins to look powerful. They start adjusting to you instead of the other way around. Stillness also gives you time. Time to observe reactions, time to read the room, time to choose the perfect response instead of reacting impulsively, and that timing alone changes how people perceive your intelligence and control. The key is that stillness is not passivity, it is deliberate restraint. You are not freezing, you are conserving energy, you are choosing when to act instead of being pulled into every moment. Over time, people associate your calm presence with reliability and strength, because you don't rise with chaos and you don't fall with pressure. You stay centered while everything else moves around you, and that center becomes the place others subconsciously look to when they feel uncertain. Authority grows quietly in that space, not through force or volume, but through the simple discipline of being the calmest person in any situation. Controlling the frame without speaking means shaping how a situation is perceived without ever needing to explain yourself. Because in every interaction, there is an invisible story about who holds power, who reacts, who leads, and who follows. And the person who defines that story wins before any words are exchanged. When you stay calm and unbothered, you set the frame that you are not seeking approval. When you move slowly, you set the frame that you are not in a rush. And when you don't chase validation, you set the frame that you already have value. People respond to frames more than facts. They treat you based on the role you quietly step into. If you act like someone who is evaluating instead of being evaluated, others automatically begin to qualify themselves to you. If you act like someone who is grounded instead of reactive, others start adjusting their tone and behavior to match yours. This is how leaders command rooms without raising their voice, and how confident individuals guide conversations without interrupting. Controlling the frame is about being intentional with your energy, your timing, and your reactions. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't respond emotionally, you frame them as the one who is trying too hard. When someone tries to impress you and you stay neutral, you frame yourself as the standard they are reaching for. Even silence itself becomes a tool of framing, because silence after someone speaks can feel like judgment, consideration, or authority depending on how you hold it. A relaxed posture and steady eye contact during that silence turns it into quiet dominance rather than awkwardness. The real power is that once you control the frame, people begin behaving in ways that support your position without you ever asking. They speak more carefully, they explain themselves more. They wait for your reaction, not because you demanded it, but because your presence suggested it. This is not manipulation through force, but influence through perception. You are not changing people. You are changing how the situation feels, and feelings guide behavior far more than logic ever will. Over time, this skill makes you seem naturally authoritative, not loud, not aggressive, just centered and unmovable. And in a world full of noise and overreaction, the person who can quietly define the emotional temperature of a moment will always appear to be the one in control. Strategic eye contact and timing is about using your attention like a precision tool rather than giving it away carelessly, because where you place your eyes and when you choose to look or look away quietly shapes how people feel around you. Steady eye contact creates presence. It tells the other person you are fully aware of them, but the real power is not in staring, it is in control. Too much eye contact feels aggressive, too little feels insecure, but the right balance makes you seem calm and confident at the same time. When you hold eye contact while listening and then pause before responding, the other person feels seen and evaluated, and that pause alone increases your authority. Timing works the same way. Responding instantly can make you look reactive, while taking a moment before you speak makes your words feel measured and important. Even silence between sentences becomes a form of communication. It signals that you are thinking, not rushing, and people instinctively respect those who appear thoughtful under pressure. Eye contact also becomes a way to guide conversations without interrupting. When someone speaks too long and you gently break eye contact, they often feel the shift and begin to wrap up. When someone hesitates and you meet their eyes steadily, they feel encouraged to continue. All of this happens without a single command being spoken. Timing also matters in emotional moments. When someone is angry and you keep calm eye contact without reacting, their intensity usually fades because there is nothing for it to feed on. When someone is trying to impress you and you delay your reaction, they lean in further, trying harder to earn your response. This is influence without force, because you are not pushing people, you are letting them move themselves. Strategic eye contact is not about domination, it is about awareness, knowing when to hold, when to soften, and when to release your gaze so the other person feels both acknowledged and slightly unsure of where they stand. That uncertainty creates attention, and attention creates leverage. The more disciplined you become with your eyes and your timing, the less you need to speak to shape interactions because people begin adjusting to the rhythm you set without even realizing they are doing it. Nonverbal dominance through posture is about how your body quietly tells the world who you are before you ever speak, because people decide how to treat you within seconds based on how you stand, sit, and move. When your posture is open, upright, and relaxed, it signals confidence and stability, while slouched shoulders and closed positions signal uncertainty, even if your words sound strong. Dominance in posture does not mean being aggressive or puffed up. It means being grounded, keeping your spine straight, your shoulders relaxed, and your movements controlled. This sends a message that you are comfortable in your space and not seeking approval from anyone around you. The human brain is wired to respect physical certainty. When someone takes up space naturally without forcing it, others subconsciously step back and allow them room. This is why leaders often seem taller than they really are, not because of height, but because of how they hold themselves. Posture also affects how you feel inside. When you stand tall, your breathing becomes deeper, your voice steadier, and your mind calmer, and that inner calm feeds back into how others perceive you, creating a loop of confidence that grows stronger with time. Small adjustments make a huge difference. Uncrossing your arms opens you to the room. Planting your feet firmly grounds you. Keeping your head level instead of tilted down shows self-respect. These tiny shifts change the energy you project. People who feel dominant through posture do not rush their movements. They do not shrink when challenged, and they do not mirror nervous energy around them. They stay consistent, and that consistency makes others adapt. In tense moments, posture becomes even more powerful. When someone tries to intimidate you and you remain upright and relaxed, their pressure loses its effect because your body is not agreeing with their attempt to control you. This is silent resistance that does not escalate conflict, but quietly wins it. Over time, people begin to associate your presence with stability and strength, not because you demand it, but because your body never signals doubt. Posture becomes your first language, and the more fluent you are in it, the less you need to rely on words to command respect and influence every situation you walk into. Letting others reveal themselves is one of the most powerful forms of influence because it shifts the work from you to them. Instead of trying to impress, persuade, or control, you simply create the conditions where people show you exactly who they are. Most individuals give away their intentions, habits, and weaknesses when they feel unpressured. When you stop trying to steer every conversation and start allowing silence, curiosity, and space, people naturally begin to talk more than they planned. They share opinions they did not mean to expose. They complain about things that reveal their fears. They boast in ways that uncover insecurity. And they criticize others in ways that reveal their own values. The key is not to interrupt this process. When you listen without correcting, judging, or reacting strongly, people feel safe enough to keep going, and the longer they talk, the clearer their patterns become. You begin to see who needs validation, who needs control, who avoids responsibility, and who thrives on drama. This knowledge gives you quiet leverage because you are no longer guessing how to deal with someone. You are responding to what they have already shown you. Many people try to dominate conversations to feel powerful, but true power comes from restraint. When you speak less and observe more, you stay in control of your emotional position. You do not reveal your own intentions too quickly, and you do not give others material to use against you. Instead, you collect information calmly. This approach works in every setting. In social situations, it shows you who is genuine and who is performing. In work environments, it reveals who is dependable and who is just loud. In conflicts, it exposes who wants resolution and who just wants attention. Letting others reveal themselves also protects you from manipulation because manipulators rely on your reactions. When you stop reacting emotionally, they lose their grip and often expose their tactics out of frustration. The greatest advantage of this mindset is that you never have to force outcomes. People walk into their own positions through their behavior while you remain steady and observant. Influence then becomes effortless because you are not pushing anyone into a role. You are simply responding to the truth they have already shown you about themselves. Turning emotional control into quiet leverage means mastering your inner reactions so completely that they become a silent source of power in every interaction. Because the person who controls their emotions controls the direction of the moment. Most people lose influence, not because they lack intelligence, but because they leak emotion. Frustration shows in their voice, insecurity shows in their posture, anger shows in their timing, and the moment those signals appear, others adjust their behavior to take advantage of them. When you learn to regulate what you feel before you express anything, you stop giving away free information. Calm becomes your shield and your weapon at the same time. Emotional control allows you to stay steady when others try to provoke you. And that steadiness creates psychological pressure because people expect resistance, argument, or defense. And when they don't get it, they start questioning their own position. Instead of you chasing control, they begin giving it to you by default. Quiet leverage also comes from patience. When you don't rush to respond, you force others to sit with uncertainty. And uncertainty makes people talk more, explain more, and often reveal more than they planned. Your silence combined with emotional discipline becomes a space where others expose their intentions while you remain protected. This is especially powerful in conflict. When someone tries to pull you into emotional chaos and you remain calm, their energy has nowhere to land. Their intensity fades and your presence grows, not because you defeated them, but because you refuse to join the emotional battle. Emotional control also shapes how people remember you. They associate you with stability instead of drama, clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of noise, and over time, this reputation gives you influence even when you are not in the room. People begin to think twice before challenging you, not out of fear, but out of respect for your composure. The real secret is that emotional control does not suppress feelings, it channels them. You feel everything, but you choose what to show and when. That choice becomes your leverage because you are no longer predictable, you are not reactive, and you are never rushed into a position you did not choose. In a world where most people are controlled by their emotions, the one who controls their emotions quietly controls the game.